Hello students, today we will read chapter 6 of your English literature book, and the name of the chapter is Robinson Crusoe Discovers a Footprint. So without any delay we should start. One day when I was going towards my boat, I was surprised to see the footprint of a man on the sand. Now the first question after reading the first sentence of this story is that who is this I in this story? So here I is the narrator himself, and who is the narrator? The narrator is Robinson Crusoe himself. So he is the narrator and he is narrating the story. So one day Robinson was going towards his boat and he was surprised to see the footprint of a man on the sand. I stood amazed. I listened. I looked around me. I could neither hear nor see anything. So what he did, after seeing the footprint, he was amazed, he was surprised, and he looked here and there, but he couldn't see anyone over there. I went up higher to look down. I went up the shore and down the shore, but it was no good. So he was going here and there, going up the shore, going down the shore, but he couldn't see anyone over there. I could find no other footprint but that one. So he searched a lot, but he found out only one footprint on the sand. There was no other footprint on the sand. Only one footprint was there. I went to it again to see if there were any more footprints and to tell if it had been my imagination. So what he did, he went there again to find out, to see that is there any other footprint or not, or whatever he saw there was real or it was just his imagination. But I was not mistaken, for there was exactly the print of a foot. Toes, heel, every part of a foot was there. So when he went there again, he saw that it was exactly a footprint of a human being. The toes, the heel, every part of a foot was clear, prominent. I could not imagine how it came there. So he couldn't imagine how the footprint came there. I stayed a long time thinking, but became more and more confused. The more he was thinking about the footprint, the more he was getting confused that from where the footprint has come here. At last, I returned home very frightened. Frightened means afraid. Looking behind me after every 2 or 3 steps, mistaking every bush and tree to be a man. And after seeing the footprint, he was amazed, he was surprised, but he couldn't find any other footprint there. So at last he decided to return to his home. So while returning, he was very much afraid, and so he was looking at his back every 2 or 3 steps. He was turning back again and again, and he was mistaking every bush and every tree to be a man. He was so much frightened that he thought that someone was following him, chasing him. When I came to my cave, so Robinson Crusoe used to live in a cave. So when I came to my cave, which I called my castle, so he used to call the cave his castle. I ran inside it as if I was being chased. Chased means as if someone was following him. So When he came to his cave, he ran inside it in such a way as if someone was chasing him. I do not remember whether I used the ladder or I went in by the hole in the rock. So he couldn't imagine, he couldn't remember how he entered into his castle, into his cave, which I called the door. Okay, I ran for cover faster than any animal could run, and he ran to cover the entrance of that cave in such a manner, in such a fast way, as if he was an animal. Okay, he did it as fast as he could, and he ran faster than any animal. I didn't sleep that night. So he didn't sleep that night. The more I thought about what I had seen, the more afraid I became. So the more he was thinking about the incident, the footprint, the more he was becoming afraid. I thought it could be one of the savages of the mainland who had wandered out to the sea in a small boat. He was thinking that the footprint was of a savage, and he came out of the sea in a small boat. Now, what is a savage? Savages are wild people in primitive state. Okay. Luckily, I was not on shore at that time, but what if he had seen my boat? So he was thinking that the footprint must be of a savage, and he was thanking God that at that time he was not on the shore when the savage came to the shore. If he had seen the boat, he would have realized that someone lived on the island and would soon return with others to kill and eat me. So Robinson was thinking that when the savage came to the shore, at that time he was not there on the shore, but the savage must saw Robinson's boat, and he must realize that someone is staying in the island, and he will surely come back with his companions, and they will kill and eat him. And so I lay fearful for many days and prayed for protection. So he was fearful, he was afraid for many days, and he prayed to God for his protection. In doing so, I was much comforted and began going out to investigate. So after doing the prayer, he got some courage. So he decided to go out of his cave to investigate that what is going around. Okay, but even now, as I went forward, I looked behind me frequently because I was still very frightened. Frequently means for several times. So when he decided to go out of his cave in order to investigate that whose footprint was that, while doing that investigation, he was going forward, but he was looking behind him frequently. He was looking behind for several times because he was still very frightened. He was still very afraid. However, as I went about for 2 or 3 days and saw nothing, I became a little bolder. So after 2-3 days of investigation, when he couldn't find anything, that time he got some relief. He became more confident. Bolder means more confident. He became confident. I decided to go down to the shore again and examine the footprint once more. So he decided to go to the shore once again in order to examine the footprint. I decided to measure it with my own foot mark. So he decided to measure the footprint with his own foot mark. As I came closer to the footprint, I realized that it could not be my footprint because I had not come to this part of the beach since a long time. So when he came closer to the footprint, he realized that the footprint cannot be of his because he had not come to this part of the beach for a long time. Secondly, the second thing he thought that as I placed my foot alongside that footprint, it seemed larger than my own. The size of the footprint was larger than his footprint. So it cannot be Robinson's footprint. My fear returned. His fear returned again. I went home again believing that there was someone there. He started believing that there must be someone who is staying on the island. Okay. The island was inhabited. It was not a deserted island. It was an inhabited island. That means someone must be there in the island. Okay. So this is the story of Robinson Crusoe, who found a footprint on the sand, but he could not found any trace, any proof that whose footprint it was. So he started believing that the island was inhabited. So this was the story, and these are the word meanings. So you will learn these word meanings. Okay. Thank you.